Hello and welcome to episode 1 of building a Lego city. So throughout the series we're going to be building a 100% modular Lego city with the new road plates, and I'm going to take all of you along on the journey with me. So then, as you can see here, it's just an empty table, and this is quite a large table, and that's because this is going to be used to house the city. So let's get started on it. So as you can see, all of the buildings have been moved around the brick shack off of the table, and it is quite a mess. So most of what you see here is actually going to be used to build the whole city. We really don't need much more than what's here in front of us. So the first job to do is all of these plate risers here that I made quite a while ago. They are going to have to go around the whole city along the outskirts, so that all the modular buildings can be placed on top so they line up with the roads. So I'll be back when I've done that. So as you can see, we have placed all of these risers for the modulars around the outskirts of the table. So what the next job is this gap right here needs to be the same as the opposite side over here. So once that is all where we need it, I think we can start working on the roads. So for the plate risers, what we have done is place some tape on the top just to hold it down to stop it from moving. So I think the next task is going to be getting all of these 60 road plates here. I'm going to place them all the way around the table where I would like them to be. So for these road plates, what I've done is I've stacked 2 plates onto the underside of them, and what that does is not only give it quite a bit of support, but it also will make it line up perfectly with the modulars when we place them on top of the risers. So the whole road is now in and is split into these 3 sections for the buildings in the middle, and the next job is to actually extend the roads. So for extending the roads, what I'm doing is I'm placing all of these nougat colour plates, and because you're never going to see those plates, I actually have some cheap off-brand ones in here to use, so I'll use all those up before I use the real Lego ones here. Okay, so I've now placed all of those plates into the side of the road, and as you can see, it's looking quite a bit colourful at the minute, but none of this you're going to see, so it actually doesn't matter at all because it's all going to get covered up. So the plan next is, with this 4 wide gap we have between the road and the plate risers, what we're going to do is place some pieces in there to extend the road out so it looks like it's part of the main road plate, and then we should be able to put the curb on to the modulars when they're in, and it should flow really nice. So I've now placed a layer of 1x6 plates around the edge onto these plates underneath, and now we need to do that once more so it's the same height as this row of studs here. So I'm not sure why, but for some reason I've had to use a 1x4 plate over here as well as over here in this corner. Now I didn't think I'd have to use those because when I worked it out, I only should have used the plates that you see here, but I've filled that in now and hopefully we have no more issues. So I've now finished placing all of those black 1x6 plates into this gap here, and for some reason it was really tight to get the corners together, and I think because the whole thing is one big rectangle, it's putting a lot of pressure on the roads and you have to press really tightly. So what I had to do was get these tiles here, these 2x4s, and sort of push the whole thing one way and then stick it down with that tile to hold it. So hopefully there's no issues with that as we progress forward. So what we're going to do next is this gap here, right next to the bricks where the plate risers are, just here. We're going to place some bricks along this edge here so they line up at the same height. So when I place the modular on top, we're going to place a little bit of curb on top of this row here, and it should line up perfectly. And because we don't need any specific pieces for that, what I've got is quite a lot of just these cheap off-brand bricks. There's no point using real Lego bricks because it costs quite a bit of money to use real Lego on this section, and it's all going to get covered up. You'll never see it. It's just there for structural purposes. So there's nothing wrong with using a lot of this fake Lego here to get the job done for that. So I've now placed all of those bricks around the outside to extend the road. And we actually use quite a lot of bricks to do that, and it's more time consuming than you'd think. So the planning is actually looking quite good at the moment. And so the next job is to actually put some curbs along the top of those bricks we just placed. Okay, so all the curbs are now placed in on top of those cheap bricks. So what we actually need to do next is place these 1x4 tiles alongside these 2x4s, and I actually don't have all of the 2x4 tiles I need because I ordered about 200 from Lego and they still haven't arrived. So we'll do what we can for now and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so we're getting quite close to being done with extending this portion of the road. So unfortunately the 2x4 gap here where the black and grey is, we are waiting on parts to arrive for that. Hopefully they arrive here soon. But the next job is actually to fill in this 2x gap here, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So to fill in that gap I just showed you, we're going to use these 1x8 bricks, 1x8 tiles, and then I've got quite a lot of these 1x2 white tiles. Now they could be any length as long as they fit in a 1x8, but these are on the pick a brick wall, and I decided to get quite a lot of them to make the white line on the side of the road. So what I've done is I've placed those 1x2 white tiles on top of the brick, and then we're going to place that into this 2x gap here on its side like that, and then we're going to take that 1x8 tile and we're just going to place that in this gap here, and as you can see that's quite flush, it doesn't wiggle very much, and that is going to extend the road into the main road plates, and it should look really nice when it's all done. So I've just tried doing the sideways technique on this bit of road here, and it's actually turning out really well. So try and ignore these gaps here because those are where the tiles are going that I currently don't have. And if we come to this corner here, there is a little bit of play in that, but what's going to happen is I need to make this corner a bit more curved, so that will cover that anyway. So whilst I'm building this, you're probably wondering, why am I not going with the mills system, as that's just a lot simpler and it's really easy to do? Well, I can't actually go for mills because I'm not working with a big enough space. If you don't know, a normal mills plate is the same size as a base plate, and these road plates that I'm extending are 3/4 of a base plate, so a little bit less. And even like a mills plate, you can still achieve the sideways technique to get that nice thin white line. So I actually got this idea from Robin Hood Bricks. He came up with the idea of placing the modulars on some raised bricks like that, and then you can place the road next to it, and it should look all nice when the city is done. So I think all of the outer side of the road is now complete. As I said before, we just need those tiles to complete that section. And now I think we can start working on the inside sections of all of these 3 rectangle bits here in the centre. So for some reason in this section where the sideways parts are, there is a little bit of wiggle room with that gap, and as you can see when I push it like that, the gap ends up halfway through the road. So we're going to use some double-sided tape here Hopefully that fixes our problem. So those pieces are now stuck down with double-sided tape. They will not move at all now. And you're probably wondering about that gap. That gap doesn't actually matter because all this is going to get covered up with a curve. So I'm going to make a curve that starts about here, curves around over here, and it'll all get covered up, so none of that matters. Okay, so I've come up with a design for the corners. It's not perfect, but I think it's the best I can do with these pieces. So I'm going to buy these pieces in the correct colours. And what I've done is, this is actually loose. So I'm going to have to stick this with double-sided tape there, as well as this one here. And then we're also going to have to stick those little tiles there, because unfortunately they don't make a plate version of that piece. So I'm going to order the correct parts I need to make that, and hopefully that should look really good. So this is how the city is currently looking. Just need to wait on the parts for the curb and the parts from Lego for those gaps in there. And then we should be done with the roads and ready to place in the buildings. Also, as you can see, the front edge is quite multicoloured. So I'm going to buy some dark grey bricks, I think will look the best, and some dark grey plates where the nougat colour is. We're going to swap them out for dark grey with the light grey curve above. And I think that will finish this all off quite nicely. So this is what the city is looking at the moment. Quite a bit more to do, but not bad progress so far.